What is up, everybody? It is New Never You here, and today we have the first guest of my new series that I'm doing on YouTube, New Never You Features. And today we have Miss Sonia Chambers. Miss Chambers, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself for our guest
Well,
or viewers?
I guess you just introduced me. I'm Sonia Chambers, mother of New Never You Rex, as well as two other. Uh, not much to me.
So humble. So you reached out to me after I made that video saying if anybody wants to come on the channel and talk about what's important to them. You were the first person to actually respond and give a topic. And the topic that you told me about was the power of words.
Yes.
Um, what made you want to talk about the power of words, or what inspired you to pick that topic?
Well, I guess that's everything goes back to your words, the things that you say, the effect they have on people, and how you're seen by people. Uh, Words have such a profound effect that it could either cause life or death. You know, the Bible says life and death are in the power of the tongue. And that's exactly what it is. You can speak life into a person, or you can speak those negative thoughts into a person, which can ultimately cause death.
And by that, the last part, ultimately cause death. Do you mean by telling somebody like, "Hey, you're stupid," or "You're an idiot," or things like that, or is it a little deeper than that?
Well, I mean, there's so many things you hear about in the media, how kids are telling, not only kids, but older people as well, are telling others that they're stupid. And after so many times, that gets down in your spirit, or for those that don't believe in the spirit world, your psyche, that gets in your frame of mind, your thinking.
Your mantra.
And right. And it could cause a negative effect on you. You hear about these court cases where one in particular that was in the news not too long ago about college kids that were dating, and they had an argument, and the female was texting the boyfriend and told him to kill himself, and that ended up being his fate. He killed himself.
Mm. So do you? I didn't hear about that one. It's kind of sad. Um, do you think that words play a huge part in, I guess, the building of one's psyche, spirit? Like, do you think that that's the key to building a strong mind, is saying positive things to yourself versus always hearing negative things?
Mhm. Well, so a man thinketh is he. If I think I'm strong, I'm gonna believe it until I am to the point that I'm strong. Uh, that's one of the main things, if not so. So many times I've picked myself up with positive affirmations, with scripture, with telling myself that I was gonna make it when nobody else told me. I had to dig down deep and speak those positive things into my own life, into my own self, into my own spirit. And so many times I would get a little notepad and write things down and stick them where I could have a reminder, kind of like those you have on the wall there, to remind me of, when I was having a hard day and came in, that I'm above and not beneath. I'm a lender and not a borrower. Sometimes I didn't have a dime, but those positive affirmations told me that no matter what I was going through then, that life always goes into a cycle. 1 minute you're up, but I had to always tell myself, no matter how long you're down, sooner or later you're going to be up again. So there's so many times I had to build myself up with positive words. And that's what got me through.
Mm. So I know that um, from my point of view, that it's easier to, I guess, beat yourself up or be harder on yourself than it is to say you're going to get through this. You're going to make it. Like you said, you had to lift yourself up sometimes because you weren't hearing it from other people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, was that something that you learned through reading the Bible and understanding the power of words, or is that something that you just learned by the repeated action of doing it and telling yourself that you're going to be okay, you're going to make it, etc.?
Well, it's so many things that played into it. Having a father and mother that were there that spoke life into us. Uh, yes, the Bible, taking us to church, reading the Bible, and letting us know that we were special, going through hard times. And I'm bad about not leaning on other people. I try to do things on my own, and that's good and bad, but that's just the way I am. But having to dig down deep and pull myself up, life experiences, uh, being determined in my own mind that I'm not gonna stay down, because down is not a good feeling. And speaking negative to people, especially children, when that foundation is being made, is a really detrimental thing. And I just prefer not to stay down. And sometimes you don't have a choice about being down, but you do have a choice in whether or not you stay down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I chose to do.
Have you ever run into people that chose the opposite that you knew personally?
Yes, I have. And I guess in each occasion, they went through hard times in life. They didn't have the same opportunities of having someone speaking positive things into their life. And I guess that's what they grew accustomed to. They were not around people that were positive and uplifting and encouraging and letting them know that there's another side, there's hope. And that's another thing, that word hope. Hope is a very powerful thing. If you don't have hope, I don't see how you can make it without that hope.
That poses an interesting question, or not question, but I guess thought. Um, you could take that to slavery. I'm assuming, based off the things that I've read, that the slaves held on to hope because, I mean, you get taken from one country, shipped to the next, you're beaten, enslaved, told you're worthless, you're nothing good but picking goods and
Mm.
wrangling, whatever. Um, but to me, that seems like a lot of hope to have to give yourself and a lot of encouragement to give yourself when you're stuck in that same cycle and nothing's changing. Um, and I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, myself included. And I told you this over lunch, I think 2 weeks ago, where um like you mentioned the Bible earlier, life and death are in the power of the tongue.
Mhm.
Um, like when you pray, it's supposed to be a communication between you and God. And I told you, I don't know if I told you or not, but sometimes I feel like I don't want to tell God how I feel because it sometimes it's not positive. I know I'm supposed to, but at the same time, I feel And I don't know why I feel this, but I feel like he only wants to hear about the good stuff. And I know he knows all of it, but that's where I get that whole conflict of confusion, because when I'm talking to him, sometimes I'll think about the situations that the slaves are in, or people that get kidnapped, or people that get raped against their will. And yeah, hope in those situations, it just seems like it's not enough. Like what are those people, what are they thriving on? Um,
Well, if you look back into the slavery times, that is pretty much what we're saying tonight. The slave masters, without going deep into that end,
mm-hmm,
that's what they wanted to use, those negative words to downplay and beat down the slaves, because if they told them they were nothing over and over, that was going to sink down into their spirit.
right,
And the word hope, that's what the slaves had, that hope. And that's what brought them out, because there were those that kept saying that we're going to make it out. There's a way that we can make it out. And that's that good and the evil working against each other.
right.
And that's why it's so important to watch what we speak into people's lives, because those slave masters knew the power of those words.
Yeah, they had
And
to.
now look, huh?
I said they had to.
Right, right. They knew that the impact that they had with their way of thinking. And if you can control a person's way of thinking, you can control that person.
Right.
And it's so many ways that we can be uplifting, that we can be life changers, that we can just do simple things to help somebody make it through. And like I used to tell you all the time, when you wanted to give up on certain situations or certain people or certain things, and the same goes true for me. Just one person is there to save somebody else's life. And you don't know when you're going to come across somebody, and just that kind word, that kind deed, that listening ear will be that lifeline for somebody. And I would so much rather be a lifeline than a detriment to someone's soul.
Yeah, I think about that every time I don't do that. Uh, you like you get caught up in the moment because you're doing your own thing. You're trying to live life, and somebody, I don't want to say interrupts, but that's kind of what they're doing. Um, and sometimes I do the right thing. Most times I don't. I'm not gonna sit here and try to paint myself to be an awesome human being. I'm a standard one like everybody else, I guess. Um, but I'm trying to get to the point in my life where I don't say negative things to people. If I have something negative to say, I kind of keep my mouth shut. But I feel like there's a difference between negative and criticism. Like if somebody presents me with something that they drew, uh, negative, I could be like, that's trash. That is terrible. Don't ever paint again. But criticism is like, it could use a little bit more work. So I'm trying to find that balance in between being helpful and not necessarily agreeing with whatever's going on, to being the old new never you that's like, mm, yeah, what I'm gonna say is probably gonna hurt your feelings. So
Well, there's something positive in every situation you can pick out and draw that attention to.
this is true. Very true. I yeah, there is. There is. Um
But that's the thing about words. Once you put them out there, you cannot take them back. Once they're out there, they're out there. That person cannot unhear it. Once they hear it, it's there. Once they feel it, it's there. And what you say may not have the same effect on me as it was when it came out of your mouth.
Right.
And that's the thing, we have to be so careful what we say or do, because not only does it affect you, it affects somebody else.
Right. So, there is another topic that another guy that reached out to me after you told me that you do come on the channel. I had a few more people that was like, yeah. And his topic we'll cover later on after this one's already aired, but it's the state of music. Um, and I know in rap music, um, there's a lot of B word this, H word that, N word this, N word that. Um, Now, there was a point in time in my life where I heavily used those words and the N word a lot.
Did
Um,
not know that.
yes, well, teenage years, that point in life where I was under peer pressure, um, before I started writing poetry. Um, and then I started to learn what these words meant and just how detrimental the N word is. And man,
Bless you.
and how it's just widespread. Let me get something to drink real quick.
Okay. Yeah, transparency is good. But I did not know about that past. I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah. What do you what's your take on the words that are thrown around in the music?
Well, for me, it's the same thing. Uh, Words have a meaning. And regardless of how you transpose those meanings, the true meaning is still there. And some of those words are pretty detrimental and downgrading. I would not use them, but they're, like you say, they're all over in songs now, in movies and videos. But as for me, I choose not to.
Um, how do you think that those words are affecting the youth that are growing up now? Do you think that these words have become surrogate parents for some of the youth?
Well, I think it's starting to take a toll on the youth period because, like we said earlier, you can be one of those words or you can be a queen, you can be a king. And given that option between the two, I would rather be a queen. Some don't have the option. All they hear is that negativity, those downgrading words, and that's who they become.
What do you think it would take for somebody to come in and break that mold with positive words?
Much prayer, uh, showing a kind, caring heart, showing a real interest in that person, and just letting them know there's another option, that it doesn't have to be negative, that speaking positive, being positive can change your life for the better. Just knowing you can have better, do better, live better, that's an option.
Um, I know that in your job, and I'm not gonna display what you do. You meet a lot of people. Um, some nice, some mean, some in between. Uh, do you ever use your, I guess, your job as a medium to impact people with kind words when you can?
Yes, I do. But I'm from the mindset that if you're on a job, we were taught to do the job to the best of your ability. And that goes into customer service and being the best customer service advocate you can be. That reflects on who you are, not only on that job, but reflects on who you are. Sometimes, you want to step outside of yourself and say and do some things, but it is better to be the bigger person, because once you step out of character and do or say some things, you have to live with yourself afterwards. And I would rather live with the better me. So that's what I gravitate towards.
Has that been easy for you?
It has not. Sometimes it has, but there are some people in the world that will try you.
More often than
And
not.
it is. And I think that's some people's assignment.
Well, it's an easy one.
Being nice is too, though.
Yeah, I guess that anything that you do in repetition becomes natural. So at some point, there was a choice for the people that want to be negative. They chose to be overly negative. Um,
Right.
and that's kind of why I want to make this series on YouTube. I'm not really an established channel that opens packs or plays video games. I want it to be like a conglomerate of things. So everybody can kind of just reach and grab and get what they need. So I feel like this episode is gonna dart the series off in the right direction, because um, I think everybody needs uh, the reality that there is good, there is evil, and you have a choice in the matter. And sometimes it's gonna feel bad doing good, and sometimes it's gonna feel good doing bad. But ultimately, we are the masters of our own choices.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so with that being said, is there any like huge words of encouragement outside of what you've already mentioned that you could give people that are on that teetering line? They want to do the right thing, but they have a lot of pain in their heart, and it leads them to do the wrong thing more often than doing the right thing.
Well, all I can say is that we have a choice. We have to live with ourselves after we make that choice. And there are people looking at us and for us to do the right thing. So many times you have people looking up to you that you don't know. And being the lifeline for somebody else brings such a tremendous joy to your heart and your spirit. And it encourages you to want to do more and be more positive. I would say sometimes you have to kill the flesh in order to make it to that next step. If you're on the line teetering, just know that the choice is yours to do good, to do better, to be better, to speak positive, and to be uplifting to somebody else. It doesn't cost a thing to say hello, to speak, say something positive about somebody. Because so many times, with everything going on, we're dealing with so much. Stress is at an all-time high now. And just a simple smile could make somebody's day. So the main thing I guess I would say to somebody teetering is choose yourself. And in choosing yourself, choose to be good, choose to do good, and leave that legacy that you did good and help somebody else.
Well, for everybody out there, I get these kind of talks all the time. So I'm sorry. I got dibs. Um, Thank you so very much for coming on the show. For everybody, I'm gonna be honest. This is like our third time trying to record this. The first time we did it, we went through the whole thing, no sound. Second time, mic cut out. So this is third time's a charm. We made it. But anyway, that's a side note, footnote. Thank you for coming on the channel and setting us off to a grand start and to hopefully change lives over the course of time that we have left. Like you said, leave a legacy of something positive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to redo or fix all the negatives that I've done, but I do want to instill positive for people to find in dark days, and with your help and the other people that have volunteered to help me. I just can't express how thankful I am to have people like you and the other guests to help me help other people.
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me. I like to talk.
Yeah, well, that's great. That's less I have to do. But if you ever want to come back on and talk about something else, something tickles your fancy, just let me know and we can schedule something now that I know how to set everything up, and we can just go ahead and change some lives.
Let's do it.
All right. Thank you again, Miss Chambers, aka
You're welcome.
Mom.
You're
And
welcome.
I am KnewNeverYou. Do you want to finish it?
How does it go?
And if you didn't know,
Now you do.